We begin this hour in the United States, where President Donald Trump has held his first in-person event since his COVID-19 diagnosis a week ago. Well, Deputy Press Secretary Judd Dare said the president's speech was not a campaign event, but Trump nonetheless turned it into one. Hundreds of Trump supporters gathered on the south lawn of the White House. Many wore red MAGA hats and blue Blexit T-shirts. That's in reference to a campaign urging African Americans to leave the Democratic Party. Trump may seem eager to get back on the campaign trail, but he's cancelled a planned debate with Democratic rival Joe Biden, who has opened up a double-digit lead in national polls.
I want to thank all of you for your prayers. I know you've been praying, and I was in that hospital. I was watching down over so many people, and I went out to say hello to those people, and I took a little heat for it, but I'd do it again. Let me tell you, I'd do it again. Sleepy Joe Biden's betrayed Black and Latino Americans. If you think he can run this country, you're wrong.
The TRTWorld's Eunice Paxo is near the White House. He's been looking at this event today. Eunice, it seems President Trump is determined to not waste any more time ahead of the election.
Well, exactly, Regan. It was a really important day for the Trump campaign because only last week, 8 days ago, he was hospitalized for COVID-19, and only earlier this week on Monday, he was discharged from the military hospital. But today, we've seen hundreds of people packed and gathered in the garden of the White House, and he was addressing these people from the balcony of the White House. Absolutely, these people were not social distancing, but in their defense, we have to say that most of them had their face mask on. And there were some key remarks from the president as he attacked the Biden campaign, saying that we have to vote these people into oblivion and we have to get rid of them. This is what President Trump had to say about his rival, his opponent, Joe Biden. He also appealed the black supporters gathered in the garden, saying that I've done more in the history of this country for black people than any other president. This is what he had to say to the black supporters. So basically, as you can see, that just a public event in the White House turned into an election rally.
And of course, the Deputy Press Secretary says it was not an election rally. I mean, this appearance on the South Lawn, Eunice, came with a lot of criticism from those who say Trump is setting a bad example, especially after what many are calling the super spreader event at a Supreme Court pick announcement 2 weeks ago. What are Trump supporters saying versus what his critics are saying about what happened today specifically?
Well, Trump supporters obviously are 100% behind him, and we also know that President Trump really likes playing down the significance of COVID-19. We've seen that today as well. He said that the virus is disappearing. He's feeling great. He asked also the supporters gathered in the garden, how are you feeling? And there was then applauding, cheering from all the supporters gathered there. So we know that President Trump is really trying to give the message to his supporters that I've beaten the Chinese virus, as he calls it, as his supporters call it, and I'm really feeling great. I'm feeling really healthy. So that was really the main message. And he also said that a vaccination is on the way in record time. But he didn't really specify, obviously, we're only 3 weeks away from the elections. So whether it's going to be tomorrow, next week, or before the elections, we don't know that. But there is really a dispute by the medical experts that it's not really possible.
Eunice, thanks for the update. Thanks. We appreciate it. Well, for a medical perspective, Dr. Bharat Pankani is no stranger to TRTWorld. He joins us from Bath in the UK. Hi, doctor. It's good seeing you again this weekend. Well, Trump is being criticized, as we're here, for his appearance today, but I want to say he's probably the most protected person in the world, with an army of doctors who ensures he's safe and not spreading COVID-19. So would I be wrong?
So it's very interesting to watch that whilst President Trump was high on the balcony, his supporters were on the ground, but many of them were wearing masks. And also, it is in the open air. So on the one hand, it does look like a risk of infection situation. On the other hand, it is a low risk because A, they are in the open air, and B, a lot of them appear to be wearing masks. Now, that's a good thing. I wouldn't really like to have gatherings like this at all because they're unsafe. But on the other hand, hopefully, because it was outdoors and because they were all wearing masks, it won't generate new cases. But it is still unfortunate. Without a doubt, it's very unfortunate.
So if you, a doctor, are saying that it was a low-risk event, how do you explain the criticism by several US scientists that this is just a bad idea, even if it's just optically speaking?
I concur with both. On the one hand, it is low risk, but it is not zero risk. The other risks are that once these people have come together, they're not only going to disperse separately, but they will congregate and they will perhaps go to the bar, the cafe, the restaurant, or other things together. And that makes it a riskier gathering, because the gathering per se is just one thing that we see, but the things that you do in coming to the gathering and going from the gathering, where you will still be in bigger groups and at that time not be protected by wearing masks and things, that is where risks can increase, because you will also be more likely indoors.
Doctor, I have about 20 seconds left with you. Trump says he's feeling much better, but medically speaking, could the president have fully recovered from the virus in such a short space of time?
We will never know, because President Trump is very good at masking his signs and symptoms and his proper illness. So he's making remarkable progress, but we will never know how well he is, because he's so good at masking these things.
Dr. Pranav, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here with us on TRT World.